Formula One is a sport built on chaos, ego, and the divine ability to crash $500,000 machinery with the confidence of a toddler holding a fork near a socket. And no driver embodies this beautiful insanity better than Max Verstappen. People always ask the same questions. How did Leclerc win at Monza against all odds? How did Nico Rosberg beat two world champions in equal machinery? And more importantly, how does Max Verstappen walk into every season like it's a group project and he's the only one who actually did the homework? Ever since Max touched an F1 car, he's been cooking non-stop. It's like he entered the sport with a lifetime subscription to being him. But instead of opening this video with glaze thicker than Red Bull's legal cases, let's do what the haters do best. Start with Max's biggest criticisms. People have roasted him for years about his aggression, his temper, and the fact that he sometimes drives like he's trying to settle custody battles mid-race. And honestly, they're not completely wrong. Max is the kind of guy who will be leading by 8 seconds, get slightly held up in traffic, and immediately sound like a microwave full of metal utensils. The man has the emotional stability of a firecracker in a toaster. But here's the twist. That temper is both his biggest weakness and his biggest superpower. Because when Max is angry, he gains about 47 horsepower, becomes allergic to braking zones, and starts overtaking cars like he's trying to escape from the IRS. Sure, the guy sometimes reacts like someone stole his Minecraft diamonds, but look where it's gotten him. 4 world championships, a qualifying record that looks like a cheat code, and more highlight reels than McLaren has team orders. And speaking of trauma, people love pretending his entire personality comes from being raised by Jos Verstappen, a man who looks like he shouts at microwaves for heating too slowly. Max's childhood was like a DLC pack nobody asked for. You don't just race away trauma. Some people say, "I miss her," before driving and end up hitting trees. Max says, "I miss her," and ends up hitting apexes like his life depends on it. But let's move on to the biggest complaint people throw at him. Max makes F1 boring. This is the most delusional take in motorsport history. If Verstappen never existed, F1 from 2016 to 2025 would be a NyQuil commercial. Go back in time. 2016. No Verstappen win in Spain, no chaos, Mercedes would have dominated harder than a strict dad in an Indian household. 2018. No Ricciardo Max crash, no Ocon beef. Championship is a sleeping pill. 2019. Nobody would have even tried to chase Mercedes. 2021. No title battle. Lewis would have won by Singapore. 2022. Okay, maybe we can hand that one to Charles because that man has suffered enough character development for 6 lifetimes. 2023. Without Max, Perez might have looked like an actual championship contender, and nobody wants that fever dream. 2024, McLaren domination. 2025, McLaren domination again, but thankfully Max exists, forcing Lando and Oscar to level up like they're fighting a final boss with childhood damage stats maxed out. Remove Max, and this sport becomes a snooze fest with prettier graphics. And let's talk qualifying, because that's where Max turns from driver to demon. The number of surprise pole laps this man has thrown down is higher than the number of times Ferrari has fumbled race strategy, and that's saying something. Monaco 2023, 2/10 down, drives like a man escaping child support, takes pole by a hair. Japan, Miami, Silverstone, Saudi Arabia, 2025, stolen poles everywhere, half a toothpick margins. In Monza, Norris takes provisional pole and Max yanks it back 2 seconds later like a dad taking away an iPad. In Baku 2025, with half the grid crashing, Lando bottling it, and Williams somehow becoming relevant, Max still puts it on pole like he's racing to avoid losing custody of his imaginary children. Even when he screws up, the entertainment is elite. Mexico 2025, qualifies 5th, does some lawn mowing, nearly gets P2 until the ghost of Michael Massey sneezes in the steward room. Like it or not, Max is the reason F1 has been chaos-fueled crack for years. So how is Max so good? Because racing is in his blood, sweat, and probably his sperm at this point. The man trains by sim racing until 4 p.m. the night before qualifying, gets pole, goes back to sim racing, and then wins both the real race and virtual race in the same 24 hours. That's not dedication, that's addiction with horsepower. And it gets worse. He drifts, rallies, does endurance races, MotoGP sims, and even jumped into GT3 under the alias Franz Heiermann to avoid media attention. Spoiler, it did not work. He unofficially broke the track record, qualified third after overtaking on the grass, took the lead immediately, and won his debut GT3 race by 25 seconds like he was racing NPCs. Even Jan Mardenborough, the guy the Gran Turismo movie was based on, finished behind him. Imagine dedicating your whole life to sim racing, and Verstappen shows up like, "Hey, I was bored," and steals your podium. The best part, Max is shockingly relatable. When he's not sweating in a 50-degree cockpit, he's sweating in Minecraft. He's yelling at FIFA, raging at Call of Duty, getting jump scared by 12-year-old campers, and designing sim racing livery with stickers of George Russell, Minecraft TNT, and Flash if you're horny, written on his car like a chaotic frat boy. Max is basically all of us, just with $400 million, insane talent, and a severe overachievement problem. Now let's talk McLaren, because they are Max's biggest suppliers of comedy. In 2025, McLaren became the kings of emotional manipulation. Every time Oscar fought Lando, the pit wall acted like divorced parents protecting their favourite child. Oscar sends an overtake. Oscar, feedback from the pit wall. That manoeuvre was too marginal. Lando makes a mistake. It's okay, sweetheart, we'll tuck you in later. Their team orders a less strategy and more therapy session. It got so bad, Oscar literally turned off Zach Brown's radio in Singapore like a teenager muting his mom. And Max, he just laughs at it all. During Monza 2025, when Lando and Oscar swapped positions after Lando's slow stop, Max was giggling like he was watching kindergarten drama. They swapped because he had a slow stop, he says, mocking them mid-race. If pettiness was a skill rating, Max would be a 99 overall. And don't forget the fan base drama. Because the moment you say anything remotely neutral about McLaren, their fans swarm your DMs like a cult with Wi-Fi. People threatening creators, writing manifestos, blaming YouTubers for cursing Oscar, and Max fans getting dragged into it for breathing too loudly. The community is a circus, and Max is the ringmaster. Now, the funniest tragedy in F1 is Red Bull itself, a team so chaotic that drivers avoid signing contracts like it's a tax audit. They've had 2,025 crashes at Silverstone, Spain, Suzuka, and somehow VCARB looks like the more stable sibling. Red Bull's recruitment pitch at this point is basically, join us, your dreams will stay dreams, your ambitions will stay ambitions, and you'll experience the thrill of running P17 behind a Haas. And somehow Max still carries this team like they're an overfilled backpack. Now let's talk about the rest of the paddock, a group of people who are either weirdos, losers, nepo babies, or all three. Enter the F1 Diddler tier list. I'm schauen auf den Seite besser aus. Where Christian Horner shockingly sits near the bottom, Nikita Mazepin ranks for obvious reasons, Johnny Herbert earns his permanent Herbert the Pervert title, and then there's the unholy trio, Briatore, Stroll and Ecclestone, allegedly linked to Epstein's guest list. Whether they went there or not, the jokes write themselves. Bernie probably stayed with Stephen Hawking, rotting like two vegetables. Lawrence Stroll definitely had to explain to his family how he was just there to swim, and Flavio, let's just say the man has lore. But compared to this circus, Max is one of the good ones, somehow balancing F1, sim racing, being a father, dealing with internal politics, and still delivering world-class performances like he's speedrunning life on nightmare mode. So what's the one thing Max Verstappen can't do? Honestly, it's hard to find something. He can win hungover, win jet-lagged, win with a team that sabotages pit stops like it's a hobby, win after sim racing till sunrise, win while beefing with half the grid. The man is unstoppable. But if I had to pick one thing, the only thing Max Verstappen truly cannot do is be as disappointing as McLaren.